Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Our presentation is titled Maximizing the Potential of AWS-WAF, Free Automating Threat Detection with Custom Managed Rules and Proprietary Threat Intelligence. First, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Shota Sugawara. I have worked in cybersecurity for over 5 years. I started with vulnerability assessment, where I learned how to find and fix security risks. Now, I lead a cloud security service, mainly for AWS environments. I also spoke at an official AWS seminar where I shared best practices for cloud security. Outside of work, I joined Capture the Flag competitions. These help me improve my skills and stay updated on new threats and techniques.
Hi, my name is Hirofumi Kawauchi. I'm a SOC Manager at NTT-ME. I've been working in cybersecurity for over 10 years at the biggest telecom company in Japan. My background includes incident response, security operations, and vulnerability management. I also speak at several conferences and events and contribute to a Japanese telecom industry in cybersecurity.
This is today's agenda. It is divided into two main parts. First, we'll talk about enhancing and optimizing the use of AWS-WAF managed rules. We'll introduce our SOC service using AWS-WAF, the challenges we face, and how we address them with SOC-defined rules and the blocking decision process. Next, we'll move on to automated attack detection and blocking with threat intelligence. We'll explain the background of our automation, the system we built, and show the effectiveness of our new approach. Let's begin with the first part. First, we will introduce our SOC service with AWS-WAF. At our SOC service, offer 24/7 managed security services to protect customers' assets such as servers, endpoints, cloud environments, etc. To protect public servers, we use AWS-WAF, our proprietary threat intelligence, SIEM, and custom detection and response functions. When an attack is detected, AWS-WAF logs are stored in Amazon S3. These logs are then sent to our SIEM for analysis. Threat intelligence platform MISP is connected to SIEM and AWS-WAF for blacklist. Our analysts monitor alerts and logs through SIEM. We also block malicious traffic when needed. If we find high-risk activity, we notify the customer as a security incident. This is the overview of our SOC service using AWS-WAF. When we focus on effective WAF operations, we faced some challenges with AWS-WAF. We aim to fully leverage AWS managed rules for efficient operation by reducing false positives and improve detection accuracy. To meet these goals, we require the implementation of fine-grained rules. Inappropriate responses may reduce the effectiveness of defenses and result in remaining risks. Let me introduce two common ways to handle false positives. The first is to exclude the matched rule and change the mode from block to count. However, if we change everything to count without thinking, we might lose the benefit of effective rules. So it should be determined based on IP, country, and the destination path. The second is to add the source IP to the alert list when false positives occur. Sometimes users request this when they face issues. But even if the IP is from Japan, we should be very careful. The alert list should be kept as small as possible. Here are two examples of AWS managed rules that we think can be improved. The first is the hosting provider IP-less rule. This rule is designed to block access from cloud provider IPs, which are often not used by end users. However, there's a risk of blocking legitimate traffic, such as ISP housing or desktop as a service. Let's look at the graphs. The left graph shows how often hosting provider IP list matches without being matched by other attack rules. As you can see, 86% of these are not matched by other rules. This suggests that many of them may not be real attacks. On the other hand, the right graph shows the source countries of the IPs blocked by this rule. Almost all of them are from outside Japan, while the servers are in Japan and most users are expected to be Japanese. This suggests that many of these requests are likely not from legitimate users. So from these points, we think rules should be customized for more accurate detection. The second rule is the no user agent header. This rule blocks requests without the user agent header, which often indicates non-browser traffic. However, there is a risk of blocking legitimate access for example, automated tools or API integrations that don't send a user agent. Like the previous rule, we checked two things: the percentage of attacks detected together with other rules and the source countries. Like the previous rule, we checked about 80% of the traffic also matched the hosting provider IP list rule. This suggests many requests may be from automated tools or bots. Also, most of source IPs were from outside Japan, even though the target servers are in Japan. So again, we believe this rule should also be customized for more accurate detection. To improve detection accuracy, we tried to use more traffic characteristics. We focus on rules like hosting provider IP list and no user agent header, which often cause false positives. For these rules, we exclude traffic from blocking based on the destination path, source IP, and other factors. We also use the source country to help decide whether the traffic should be blocked. These charts shows traffic detected by the hosting provider IP list rule. They compare how the maliciousness of IPs differs depending on the source country. The left chart shows IPs from Japan or the US. About 70% of them are benign. The right chart shows IPs from other countries. Only 28% are benign and 72% are malicious. Since our customers are based in Japan and their websites mainly serve Japanese users, we found that source country is a useful characteristic to improve detection accuracy. This slide shows our approach. Our goal is to maximize the potential of AWS-WAF. To achieve this, we combine AWS private functions with our custom functions. A and B are AWS private functions. A is AWS managed rules. These detect known attack patterns like exploit code, SQL injection, and XSS. B is rate-based rules. These detect large volumes of traffic that exceed a certain threshold. C and D are our custom functions. C is SOC-defined rules. These rules consider the source country, IP, and request path to improve the accuracy of AWS managed rules. D is our, in this part of the presentation, I will focus on C. D is our SOC's block list, created from our own threat intelligence. We will explain more about D later in the second part. Now let's look at C in more detail from the next slide. This slide shows a simple example of our blocking decision workflow. To improve the detection accuracy of AWS managed rules, we create custom rules to decide whether to allow or block traffic. For example, we evaluate based on the detected rule, source country, and other conditions. We built a function that works like this workflow. First, the system checks is the targeted rule detected. If yes, it moves to the next checks. Is the source country highly malicious? If both answers are yes, then the traffic is blocked. If either of them is no, it moves to the next check. Is it detected by other rules? If yes, it is blocked. If not, it is allowed. This is just a simple example. We define a similar decision workflow for each targeted rule. Now, I'll explain a bit more technical details. This slide shows how we apply the logic to the web ACL of AWS WAF using Management Console. First, we set all detected rules to count mode. Then a custom rule determines whether to actually block the traffic. This decision is made based on geo-IP information, such as the source country and alert details. As shown in the diagram, we set AWS managed rules and block lists to count mode, so they don't immediately block the traffic. After that, the custom rule at the bottom makes the final decision to block or not based on IP address, source country, request path, and other conditions. Next, let's see how the custom rule decides where to block a request. When traffic is detected by a rule, a label is added to the log. For example, if the hosting provider IP list rule is triggered, a label like this is assigned. Each AWS managed rule has its own label, so we can clearly see which rule detected the traffic. Finally, the custom rule checks the matched rules, source country, IP, path, and other details, and then decides what action to take. As shown in the figure on the right, we can define these conditions and actions in JSON format. You can see how the decision rule is set up. The first red box checks if the request has the hosting provider IP list label. The next step checks if the country is not Japan or the US. If both conditions are true, the request is blocked.
Okay, from next slide, we talk about automated attack detection and blocking with threat intelligence. In the first part, we talked about C, that is how to reduce false positive and improve detection accuracy of AWS managed rules. In this part, I will talk about D, that is how to block more suspicious activities with block list created by our own block list, created by our threat intelligence. Let me begin with the background of automation. We previously analyzed persistent attacks when they are detected by SIEM rules, and then we manually check each alert one by one and decide whether to block. However, we were concerned that SIEM's rule coverage may be incomplete and may miss some attacks. So, therefore, we started a daily inspection from the different perspectives. SIEM rules only focuses on short-term threshold exceeded. On the other hand, in the daily inspection, we extracted long-term attacks below the threshold. The second, SIEM rule only focuses on single site attacks. In this inspection, we extracted cross-site attacks across the multiple sites. After extracting these logs from SIEM, we manually check one by one and whether to decide whether to block or not. It takes 1 hour a day. It's hard work. And we did this operation for about 1 year, and then we confirmed the effectiveness of the method. So we finally decided to automate all process and achieved it. This graph shows that the number of blocked attacked IPs comparing between manual blocking based on theme rules, that is green bar, and the automated detection and blocking, that is orange bar. As you can see, after starting automation, our new system blocks much more attacks than before. This is the overview of automation of attack detection and blocking. To effectively migrate a persistent attack with automated functions, we built a unified system by integrating AWS-WAF, AWS services with external sources. This system consists of many 4 parts. First, the system extracts persistent attacks from theme, and then these extracted IPs are evaluated how malicious it is. The third, the system decides whether to block. And then finally, this system registers these IPs to MITH, that is our threat intelligence. When adding the IPs to a threat intelligence, it automatically updates IP set of AWS WAF as well. As I explained, this system consists mainly 4 parts: extraction, evaluation, decision, and registration. To achieve full automation, we orchestrate components using step function. Each component, 1 to 4, is built with Lambda functions. And these Lambda is built and maintained by multiple our team members. And to control the Lambdas, we use step function and control them. Let me start with first, extraction. To respond to various attack patterns and extract malicious attacks, we focus on 2 patterns. The first pattern is slow attack. For the evidence of reader access every day, the system extracts the IPs if the block logs for 3 consecutive days. The attack pattern 2 is scanning activity. For the evidence of the significant amount of access in the short period of time, like scanning activity, the system extracts the IPs if 100 logs per some hours are found. This is just an example. The next step is evaluation. In this step, this system investigates whether the IPs are truly malicious or not. So to check this IP, we use 2 reputation services, IP void and abuse IPDB. We consider these pros and cons. IP void is able to acquire results from multiple services. On the other hand, it takes a long time. Abuse IPDB can get results very fast, but it requires community reputation result. When evaluating hundreds of IPs, it sometimes occurs timeouts. To handle this, we use step functions. The next step is decision. We don't want to block important IPs. It's used for a business purpose. We carefully decide whether to block. For example, we do screen to prevent false positive blocking. we don't block if the IPs, if it's used for search engine spiders, that's the search site crawler. Because if we block it, the target site will disappear in the Google or Yahoo or something. The final step is registration. The IPs to be blocked is registered to the threat intelligence MISP. Then the IP is added to the threat intelligence. It automatically update IP list on AWS-WAF via API. So we use MISP. Our analysts use MISP and correct IOCs and store IOCs as a threat intelligence. And our company CISO also use MISP and collect IOCs and store it. Additionally, our NTT group company has their own MISPs, and our MISPs are connected each other and acquire IOCs each other. This means that this AWS WAF can use block list from many sources. This is the function, how we use the function. So the task from analysis to the blocking just takes about 5 minutes. If we used to do a similar job manually, it took 1 hour a day. This process includes a SIM analysis and this extraction, avoidance of accidental blocking, repetition with abuse IPDB and IP void, blocking decision, and registration to the threat intelligence. Step function is also help to avoid the maximum timeout of Lambda. So the maximum timeout is 15 minutes. And each result from Lambda is saved to S3. And if in case of failure, we can restart from where it left. Step function also provides a clear vision of the process. Like a left image, execution success is showing green, and the right side, the execution failure is showing red. In case of failure, it is very easy to understand what's happening, where it's working and where it is not working. So we can troubleshoot it very fast. This is the effectiveness of our new system. The graphs show that trend in the number of blocked attacks on the specific website. The blue bar is that blocks by AWS managed rules, and the orange is a block by our SOC block list from our new system. As you can see, after a static automation, our new block list is effectively blocking attacks. About 90% were blocked by our SOC block list. In this case, the attacker is continuously changing their IP and continue to attack. But finally, the attacker may give up. The conclusion. We introduced fully automated threat intelligence and blocking system using custom managed rules and our own threat intelligence for AWS WAF. We can customize AWS WAF to build my WAF that are tailored to our company's needs. My WAF equals to AWS WAF plus our expertise and AWS services like Lambda and step functions. With the limited resource like people and time, it's important to maximize the potential of AWS services. What I want to say is that implementation is not the goal. Continuous operation and improvement are the key to success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shota and Hirofumi. So, as always, there is time for some questions.
Hello. Yeah. Thanks for your presentation and your insights. I have two questions. How did you realize an aging of your blocking IPs? Did you have an algorithm for something? And another aspect is dynamic IPs or hard-coded or hard IPs, which are not changing. How you deal with that in your block list?
So your question means that how do we deal with the attacker changing their own IPs many times? Okay, so to deal with these attacks, we made this system. So previously, we only used the WAF SIM rules to that. So the SIM rules is like focusing on only small period. But on the other hand, this system check the long term, like days, one week or 3 days or so. And if attacker changing their IP, we can cover these IPs in the period.
Okay, yeah, that's what my question was. Another interest from me is, did you have information how big is the percentage of IPv6 IPs which you see in your process?
So we could
IPv6 IPs regarding against IPv4.
So now
The percentage, but my experience is in Germany we have around 5-6% maximum. So this is an interest. What is your experience in this case?
So we only focus on IPv4 for now, but
Okay.
am I answering the question to you?
Thanks.
Yeah, also, thank you very much for your presentation. As AWS-WAF only is focusing on ingress traffic, have you implemented something else for egress traffic? So, for example, if you want to block C2 traffic.
Yeah, so this presentation is focusing on AWS WAF, but we provide another service like Protect, like outbound traffic as well, like EDR or like FortiGate file or something. And yeah, and so this system is only used for WAF for now, but the same functions can be used for the different devices such as FortiGate and other devices. So we are planning to expand to the another devices as well.
Okay, thank you. Next year, then you can present.
All right. I don't see more hands. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Great.